Hello everyone and welcome back to RaceBot TV and coverage of IndyCar racing. It's time to kick off a new era in the iRacing service for the Open Wheel Series. We have a new World Championship car and big changes to the Dallara IR18. A new tire model and a new damage model are both looking to shake up the order at the top of the field, and we're just on the other side of the Open Wheels 500-mile race and now looking forward to another season of good racing action on both the fixed side, but here in the Open Series as well. So welcome along then to RaceBot TV, where you're joining me and myself alone. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, and I'll be walking you through the next 25 laps or so as we have racing live from Road America, a track that's been around since 1955 without too many configuration changes. Is going to play host to some good racing today with 22 cars out on track. We've got a lot of participants excited about the changes to the car and 4 splits of action today. Track conditions fairly cool. You can see there 34 degrees in terms of our track temperature, but this long racetrack, almost 4 miles in length with 14 turns, is going to be very interesting to see how the new tire model shakes things up. Not too much wind to speak of either, and cars underway for qualifying. Just a reminder as well, track cams brought to us by Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com, with additional car cameras provided by RaceBot's own Tyler Maxson, with live timing and scoring available at racebot.wtf/Indy and our partners over at timing71.org. Let's take a look then at our 12-week season. 4 seasons in every iRacing year, and this is the first of our 2021 seasons. We still got 2 weeks to go then in 2020. We start here at Road America before we head to our first oval round next time out at the Michigan International Speedway. Some interesting additions to the schedule. You see the likes of Spa-Francorchamps and Mount Panorama at that 7th round, which was voted in by the community, but other interesting rounds include the likes of Long Beach, which was added to the iRacing service in the most recent build, and we're very glad to have that street circuit finally available for official competitions. It's an interesting mix of tracks across the schedule, and we're going to finish it off at the Tricky Triangle Pocono Raceway itself, but got a long way to go before we get there, and indeed the question is, who can dethrone Adam Blocker at the top of the series? He's been so dominant for so many years, and indeed, we'll see what's going to happen this time around. It's good to see the strength of field in the IndyCar series continuing to go up and up as this new update has brought in a lot of intrigue. New tire model, and with that has come the addition of tire compounds, which will shake up the strategy that much more. You've got the primary tires as well as the red tires. That's going to be something to watch out for. So qualifying underway then. We've got 2 minutes to go. You can check out the qualifying times on the left-hand side of your screen. Andrew Kinsella for Powerslide Motorsports currently in provisional pole position. We await a number of other drivers as well. IndyCar iRacing Series champion Adam Crane currently in second for VRS Satellite Racing, but the two-time Indy 500 champion, the first to do it back-to-back as well, in third position. Brandon Traino, good to see him back out there on the racetrack. He's got his teammate Christian Steele right behind him. Adam Blocker in fifth position as things stand, and a number of these drivers have already pulled it off the track. And there's Joshua Chin, by the way, having a bit of an issue. He's going to be starting now at the back of the field, unfortunately for Chin, because Chin has used up all of his qualifying runs and has not even got enough time to head back out there onto track anyway. Let's take a look at the first of our RaceSpot TV replays and see if we can figure out what's happened to the king of chins himself as he works his way down in towards turn number 5. One of the more interesting spots to watch out on track this time around. Tires, especially later in the run, is going to be so important. Chin on those red tires might be one of the few drivers trying to attempt a qualifying run on those reds, has unfortunately got things a little bit wrong. So we've still got just under 50 seconds to go then in qualifying, and no cars still out there on the track. So we can start running you through then our provisional qualifying order. It's good to see some additional drivers returning to the series, the likes of Riley Thompson back there in 12th position, the number 4 car driving for Sims Esports, who'll line up then in 12th position. The likes of, you've got John Downing down there in 19th for Sadie Sim Autosport. You've also got Austin Esppetit back there in 16th place. He was also competing in the Open Wheels 500-mile race just a few weeks ago. That was live on RaceSpot TV. We must shout out Tanner Watkins and his great crew over at the Open Wheels sanctioning body for putting on that event, and we had a lot of fun here at RaceSpot TV being able to put that event on. But here we go then. Couple of seconds left in qualifying, and the clock's going to tick over into our race session, and we can start running you through our qualifying order. So the Canadian Andrew Kinsella then takes pole position on his return to this series with a 1:43.598 by just under half a tenth of a second from Adam Crane for Satellite Racing, who came in with a 1:43.645. Brandon Traino for Broken Arrow lines up in third position with Christian Steele back there in fourth, 0.2 of a second behind pole position. Adam Blocker, defending champion, is going to line up in 5th place in the number 1 car for Powerslide Motorsports. To his outside of row number 3, it's Christopher Demerit in the number 15. Vilda Wallen lines up in 7th place in the 20 car with Tyler Dubosch on their outside. Christian Macarelli is going to be in 9th position with Christian Zelke on the edge of the top 10. Alan Piercy on the inside of row number 6 with Riley Thompson to his outside. Joe Branch all the way back in 13th place with the hyperstar Brendan Lichtenberg next to him. Andrew Wood will be in 15th position with Austin Esppetit next to him. Cesar Menzato lines up in 17th place. Andrew Marquez to his outside. John Downing back in 19th with Josh Clogg in 20th. Robin Glennox lines up then in 21st place, and the king of chins himself, Joshua Chin, will have a lot of work to do to make his way up through the field from all the way in last position. Good shot there of the start-finish line as the cars get lined up behind the Porsche safety car. We're going to have a full pace lap here, so plenty of opportunity to discuss various drivers, but we'll just take a few moments and let them get ready to go racing. So big changes, as mentioned, tire model and damage model. We have the new damage model here on the iRacing service. We've got, therefore, tires that are going to fly around. We've got the additional challenges that might come with that, but let's see what happens as the cars begin to roll up in the field. Going to be a nice long run down into turn number 1. Can anyone challenge Andrew Kinsella, or is he going to be able to be unchallenged in towards turn number 1? We have a interesting crew behind him. You've got the likes of I5G. His Power Slide teammate's going to be back in 5th position as well. No Hugo Olsen, though. And no Wilson Neto either, interestingly. So the new addition to Power Slide Motorsports has decided not to run here in the first race of our season. One of the great things about IndyCar, in my opinion, is that the races are always, one of the strength of field races is the first race of every week, so that really always feels like a properly important race. Reminder, by the way, live timing and scoring available at racespot.wtf/Indy. That will get you forwarded over to Timing 71, where you can follow along with the best in both the real world and the sim world, with some great analysis tools as well. So let's take a look once again then at our track conditions as the cars make their way down through turn number 5. 34 degrees Celsius in terms of our track temperature, and it appears for the most part, as I take a look through the entry list, that most of these cars are on the primary tire right now. There are 3 takers for the red compound tire, so watch out for the likes of Adam Crane, Andrew Kinsella, and Tyler Dubois. So Crane and Kinsella, the 2 cars out front that you'll want to keep an eye on with those red marked tires. Looking at maybe about 5 or 6 laps in terms of the opening stint of the race for them. For the remaining drivers, probably looking at closer to the 12 laps to get to the halfway point here in our 24-lap season opener. The cars then work through the carousel on the run down in towards the kink and Canada corner, one of our passing opportunities in today's race. So it is going to be Kinsella, Crane, Trano, Steele, the front couple of rows. I'm trying to figure out what's happened to Adam Crane, because he appears not to have made it to the race start. So it looks like drama then for your IndyCar iRacing Series champion. He's going to drop to the rear of the field potentially. He'll have to try and get back into the session and get back out there on the track. So Crane out of the race now, very early on. That's going to leave Kinsella, the only car up front, on the alternate tire. So he's going to be coming down the pit road by himself in about 5 or 6 laps. Promotes Christian Steele up into 2nd position then. He'll start on the outside of row number 1. Moments away from getting another season started here on the iRacing service, and just a reminder that you can follow along with so many of the iRacing series live here on RaceSpot TV. Follow us on Twitch or across YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at RaceSpot TV, and we'll be getting you many more official series through the iRacing service this year. So through the last corner we go then. Pace car dives onto the safety of pit lane, leaves the field in control of Andrew Kinsella. Christian Steele getting some ideas. He's going to have to check up very slightly, and the Canadian punches the throttle and leaps forward into the race lead. No challenge then for Kinsella on the run down into turn number 1, but the teammates side by side, Trano and Steele in towards 1. Adam Blocker has made up a position as he tries to get up towards the front of the field after a slightly disappointing qualifying performance. He now drinks to the inside of Christian Steele, gets up into 3rd position, challenges for 2nd, and he's already up into 2nd. Power slide run 1 and 2 now, and the 2 of the I5G teammates starting to get a little bit caught out. Blocker now defensive on the run down in towards turn number 5 as Brandon Trano tries to come back on the run in towards turn number 5. 3 wide in the background for a second. Blocker is able to hold off on the inside though, and they're already losing track of Kinsella out front. Gap now 1.5 seconds as they dive underneath the Corvette bridge for the very first time. Still side by side further back, that is Christian Zeke and Tyler Dubois. So Dubois on those red tires trying to make up some positions. Now Blocker in that 2nd position tries to get to work and try and reel in his teammate out front, but Kinsella through the carousel already looking very, very good. Adam Crane is back out there onto the track, but he's had to start in the pit lane and unfortunately already facing in the wrong direction. So Crane starts off this season in the worst way possible, but the run down in towards Canada corner, it is still Traino that applies the pressure onto Blocker out front. Blocker manages to hold on for the time being. You do see Dubois having to defend from Zeke in the background. Kinsella, though, runs away, and now 2 seconds the gap as he dives towards the final corner. He'll head through that right-hand kink and get on the power on the run up the hill and complete the first lap out of 24 and try and use those red tires as best he can. So let's run you through the top 5 as they run. Kinsella, Blocker, Traino, and then Steele and Demerit, the top 5. Take a look at the push-to-pass usages in just a few moments' time, but Adam Crane once again off the track. Joshua Chin, by the way, had just gone and passed fiercely forwards Joshua Clogg, who's making debut here in the IndyCar series. We see this team across the iRacing service. Good to see them jumping into open wheel competition as well. Chin, though, on a fight back of his own, has elected to switch to the primary tires. He's up into 15th position, but still a lot of work to do there. Crane, by the way, back down onto the pit lane, so that's going to be his challenge done for today. Take a look at the hyperstar, Brendan Lichtenberg. He ducked to the inside, trying to maybe challenge Riley Thompson in front. Nothing doing. And then they work through turn number 6 then for the second time. That's Andrew Wood in a little bit of trouble as he's going to rejoin the track just at the apex of turn number 7. We'll start working through some of our RaceSpot TV replays then. It was a fairly clean start to this race, 24 laps, and I think most drivers realized they needed to get through the first few corners fairly safely. So first time in towards turn 6, Alan Piercy, a little bit wide through the grass and a little bit of rallycross excursions there. You see the likes of Chin and Clogg going through. On the outside of the corner, we'll take a look at the first of the issues then for Adam Crane in the VRS Satellite Racing Machine, just trying to dive to the outside there, make up some positions on those red tires, and noses that car into the wall. You notice the new damage model in full effect, that nose cone leaving remnants in the tire barrier. Now let's check out what happened to Andrew Wood in that Brown Team Talent machine. I have a feeling he's going to do the same thing, and indeed running wide at turn number 6. That's going to drop him down into 18th place as things stand. Adam Crane back down out of the pit lane once again. So we jump back to the live pictures and let's jump back out front for a few moments time and ride on board then with the one and only two-time Brandon Traino. Trying to chase down Adam Blocker in front, and the i5G driver is having some good success at this point in time. Let's try and take a look, if we can, at the push-to-pass usages, and indeed there you can see the third box from the left, 9 push-to-passes left, so Traino already through 3 laps out of our 24 has used 1 of his push-to-passes. Let's jump on board with Blocker in front. You can see there all 10 remaining. That will give you a little bit more boost into the engine, push you down the straights that much more, and that's clearly not what the defending champion needs right now. Blocker through the carousel on those black tires that are going to be a little less grippy, but will last him through maybe lap 12 or 13 into this race. Blocker, of course, used to be a right foot braker that used to help him in the fuel saving considerably. Now switches his attention over to the likes of a hydraulic pedal set and left foot braking, so the fuel advantage not as much for the defending series champion, but still pretty good driver in terms of strategy overall. Taking a look at my timing screen, battles are going on all the way down the field. John Downing has been involved in a nice scrap with the likes of Alan Piercy side by side for a couple corners time. Let's move our attention over to Austin Espety, who is now behind Riley Thompson, who has fallen behind Brendan Lichtenberg himself. Run down in towards turn number 1, and we jump on board with Espety on the Team Talent machine with a lot of Tanner faces around. He'll poke his nose to the inside and slot back into line through turn number 1. Espety still has 9 of his push-to-passes left. Let's see if he gets on the button as he comes through turn 3 here. Electing just to tuck up in the draft, maybe save a bit of fuel and do something different on strategy. For all of these drivers on the black tire, it's relatively simple. You could split this in half, but Espety looks to the inside once again, doesn't force the move. Thompson goes a little bit deep. That will open the door for Espety as they head underneath the Corvette bridge. in front as well. There was a move, I think, there, but Espity gets the move done up into the top 10 for the first time in today's race, and now tries to chase down Lichtenberg in front. Christian Steele is starting to lose track of the top 3 runners. Brandon Traino still 0.6 of a second behind Adam Blocker, but Steele now drops to about 2 seconds. Steele is very excited about getting back into official competition. He's been posting content onto the official forums as well as setup information, so head on over to the forums if you're looking for IndyCar setups, but currently struggling a little bit with the pace and be hoping to close on in later on in this race. Christian Zeke dives to the inside then and tries to get a move done on Tyler Dubois, who's starting to struggle on those red tires. He's coming to the end of the lifespan of those alternate tires, and we might see our first pit stop then in just a few moments time. Espity with a very bold move down the inside, and that gets him checked up on the exit of the corner. Thompson takes advantage. Vilda Wallen, the big loser there, and Wallen might lose out a couple more positions here, as here comes the likes of Christian Macrelli and Joshua Chin as well. Back in front though, Brendan Lichtenberg, yes, I was about to say the Hyperstar, getting myself just a little bit confused. Lichtenberg up into 7th places. Dubois starts to struggle very slightly on the red mark tires. Let's check in with our race leader, and Andrew Kinsella, the Canadian, is on those red mark tires. The consensus among the community was black was going to be the preferred option here, but Kinsella on that slightly different strategy is being able to extend the gap, but there you can see the lap time advantage. Blocker is starting to come back the last 2 lap times. The black mark tires able to hold on just a little bit more as the lap time for Kinsella starts to drop off. Lichtenberg off the track, by the way. That's big damage on Zeke as well. Oh, big damage in the background. Espity involved in that one. Wallen involved in that one. We'll take a look at a couple RaceBot TV replays, but the first of our big incidents here has taken place on lap number 5. Ooh, Lichtenberg just gets a bit sideways underneath the Corvette bridge. He causes the contact then with Zeke. Take a look at what happens behind him as well between Wallen and Espity. We jump back then to Espity and his onboard look as we go underneath the bridge. He sees what's happening in front of him, decides to go for a sympathy spin of his own, and unfortunately it appears as though Wallen didn't have much to do in that situation. We'll take one more look at our beautiful aerial coverage brought to you by ATVO, graphical partner of RaceBot TV. See, Espity is going to lose the rear end in front, and indeed, Wallen loses the nose cone, loses a bunch of other body parts as well, or rather car parts as it were, and that's going to be terminal damage for the Three Crowns racing machine. So back to live pictures then as we work lap number 6. Kinsella still not down onto the pit lane just yet, so that is an interesting strategy call, while the likes of Robin Glennox, John Downing have elected to enter pit lane, or excuse me, that was just a brief lie on my timing screen which told me that both of those cars had decided to come down the pit lane. Kinsella is starting to struggle though, gap now down to just under 2.4 seconds as Adam Blocker also extends the gap to Brandon Traino behind 0.8 of a second behind to the number 9 car, and Brandon Traino, they have managed to gap the likes of Christian Steele by about 5 seconds now. So Steele in that number 6 car has got his teammate Demerit closing in, and there's some good battling happening as Joshua Chin is now up all the way into the 8th position. Chin in the Team Chimera with Team Talent car has done a good job so far as he slides the car through turn number 8. Let's jump on board then with this great off-board shot through the carousel as Chin works those black tires, tries to keep them alive as we're about halfway through the opening stint on these black tires, and we await the likes of Kinsella down onto pit lane because Kinsella is losing out big time here. The gap now 1.5 seconds between Kinsella and Blocker, but the Canadian has elected for one more lap to stick that car out there, and Adam Blocker, his teammate, will be pretty happy about that. Oh, interestingly, thank you very much. We were just mentioning our graphical partner ATVO. Well, they also provide some of the timing screens that I use to produce these broadcasts, and I've just noticed that the push-to-pass numbers are indeed working on my timing screen again. So if we jump on board with Joshua Chin, you'll notice 6 push-to-passes used as he closes in on the Hyperstar in front of him. Good little battle here between 2 previous winners of iRacing Indy 500s in top split competition. Team Chimera's Chin down in towards turn 3. Will potentially get on the button once again. He's already used almost half of those push-to-passes with only 6 laps gone in this race, so interesting strategy call there. In towards turn number 5, then Chin gets closer underneath the braking zone. Chin, of course, the dock maker, as it were, for the Craig setup shop, and indeed there are so many setup shops now in the iRacing community. Brandon Traino off the track just before the carousel, and the new damage model has taken its first victim, I think. Traino, unable to get that car turned around, has had to reset back to the pit lane. The two-time champion in Indy 500 competition in the wall, and we take a look at the RaceSpot TV replay. Great look there as Traino agonizingly rolls that car in towards the tire wall. Nothing he could do, and the Apex Racing machine struggles in vain. It's right on board then as you see the opposite lock, and you can see the just impending doom there for Traino. Nothing he could do. You can see here as he tries to get that car turned around, the left inside wheel just not doing anything. The damage model is not going to cooperate with you anymore, and Brandon Traino now drops to the rear of the field. Lap number 8 then, and Kinsella is still out there on track. It's a power slide 1-2 as Brandon Traino has now fallen away. Christian Steele is now promoted up into the 3rd and final podium position, and that's going to make the Californian driver very, very happy. Blocker now, though, just half a second behind. Kinsella trying to extend this stint as far as he can, potentially to lap number 11, where he can switch over to the black tires and maybe get it to the end of the race from there. Blocker has still not used any of his push-to-passes. His teammate in front has already used 5, so it's a storyline to watch out for. And the defending series champion that carries the number 1 car in this race, but not because of that champion status, but instead because of his I rating, which is now up to 6,165. Blocker has been doing a good job of rising that up, and now hoping to get up to maybe even 7,000 I rating as these new changes to the iRacing car and the iRacing service have opened the eyes to some people about the possibilities of an iRacing World Championship. Blocker very easily down the inside uses his first push to pass of today's race, goes up into the race lead, and now tries to run away from the rest of the pack. Blocker also had the fastest lap. That was a 1:44.469, but that was a couple of laps ago. Kinsella elects to continue to stay out there, which is a fairly interesting call. Let's jump back, though, to the midst of the top 10. Joshua Chin in 5th is now in front of the Hyperstar with Riley Thompson in close pursuit. A few moves happened back here, and we'll run you through a couple of replays. So it all started then when Joshua Chin passed Brendan Lichtenberg for 6th position. This was down in towards the turn number 1 section. Very easily done for Chin on the inside, potentially using a push to pass, and shortly after that we saw the incident with Brandon Traino that promoted these guys up a position. Chin also got past Riley Thompson, who had a brief off-track moment there. You can see Thompson getting the power down very slightly wrong through turn number 5, and we'll grab one more look at that just here. The SimCity Esports driver able to hold on to that car, keep it out of the tire wall. The agonizing roll through the grass was something that I think Traino would have been very much hoping to see someone else struggle with here today, but unfortunately for him, Thompson able to hold on, now runs in the 7th spot. Traino, by the way, is back out there onto the track, out there all the way back there in 18th position, but 1 lap down. Andrew Kinsella, is he going to come down to the lane this time around? He's already been out there for 9 laps and starting to lose track of his teammate. 2.7 seconds the gap. Those red marked tires must be screaming out in agony through each of these corners, but 1 more lap then for the Canadian. 2.8 seconds now the gap, and indeed the gap behind to Christian Steele is just under 4 seconds for the first time in a while. Kinsella, who makes setups for Lionheart and the IndyCar series there has had to work quickly to provide setups for their season finale at the Auto Club track in California, 500 miles on a Sunday. That will be their season finale. But Kinsella now running out there on the roadside. He's got to focus on different things for now. Has his hands full as Steele chases him down. Battle between Lichtenberg and Thompson is developing here as Thompson tries to hunt down the hyperstar in front, who I'm sure is streaming live on Twitch. Thompson used to be a prolific Twitch streamer, but has not been streaming as much as late. Closes just a little bit in towards turn number 5, but not close enough to get the move done just yet. Thompson has only used 3 of his push-to-passes so far. Lichtenberg in front has used 4, so Lichtenberg has pushed that button one more time, needed that burst of power, that additional time. Good little scrap here, by the way, happening for 15th and 16th, as John Downing and Alan Piercy scrap it out at the rear end of the field. They are trying to chase down Josh Clogg in front as well, who has just been passed by Cesar Manzato. Meanwhile, out front, gap now up to 5 seconds. Kinsella, one more lap, is elected to stay out there, but the important thing that we should highlight, as I'm going to have to take down that graphic for just a moment's time, is there you can see the push-to-pass usage now down to just 4 remaining for the second half of the race. Kinsella has been very much relying on that power to throw him up through the field and not slip down it, rather, but the Canadian very much is going to have to watch that and watch in his mirrors through the second portion of the race. Thompson continues to apply pressure to Lichtenberg behind. Let's jump on the rearward facing shot from Lichtenberg as he powers down out of turn number 3 on the run in towards turn number 5. Thompson unable to close, not on the button at this time. And Lichtenberg doesn't have much to deal with. They have dropped away from Josh Chin very slightly. Gap now up to 3.3 seconds, but Josh Chin just looking forward, not looking back. Ooh, Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella is now off the track, and his strategy has come short, unfortunately. He's lost the place already to Christian Steele, and he's got to get back up to racing speed, and I'm sure the Canadian will be down onto the pit road this time around. We'll grab the RaceBot replay, and almost a mirror incident of what happened to Brandon Traynor, but fortunately for Kinsella, able to grab that one into control. Take a look at this on the onboard one more time. Hand snap around, and just about able to grab that one together. So back to live pictures, and let's take a look at Kinsella as he comes through the final corner. Is he going to come down the pit lane this time around? Indeed, yes he is. So onto the pit lane, and unlike in the real world, just one pit lane zone here. Kinsella gets down to pit road speed and applies that pit road button. That promotes Demerit up into the 3rd position for now, and Adam Blocker has a very comfortable 7-second advantage out front. Josh Clogg, by the way, has just gotten passed by Alan Piercy. Piercy doing a good job to make up some positions here. He's made his way through a couple of cars so far. Clogg another taker down onto the lane. On the black tires, interestingly. So he's elected to split this race into 11 and 13 laps respectively. We pick up Andrew Wood, who applies some pressure to Cesar Manzato, who has just gotten past Wood. Wood, who's recently had recent surgery after his appendix proved to be rather troublesome. Unannounced appendicitis surgery, as I guess most surgeries to that area are. He's recovering well, clearly, as he jumps back into official competition. John Downing looks to the inside of Tyler Dubois on those red tires still. Dubois runs a little wide, but able to hold on to the position. As, oh no, what's happened to Kinsella? Andrew Kinsella finally gets rolling from pit road, but there you can see pit lane time, a total of 1 minute and 20 seconds, but that pit lane stop of 49 seconds, the more pertinent issue. We'll grab a look at a RaceSpot TV replay and check out as Kinsella made his way down onto the pit lane. Let's see if we can spot if he potentially sped. Ooh, I think he may have sped there, so that might be what has dropped the Canadian down the order. He'll have a long way to now fight back as he works through turn number 5, getting those black tires up to temper and pressure for the very first time. Adam Blocker is still out there on track out front. Has not elected to come down the pit lane just yet, but Christian Macrelli, the first taker from 7th position on track. He's joined by Joe Branch, Andrew Marquez, and one car elected to peel off. That was, I believe, Tyler Dubois on those red marked tires. Alan Piercy now tries to get the move back done on John Downing down the inside on the start straight, and that's going to be a rather easy move there for the driver of the number 13 car. Past John Downing is now the last car that hasn't pitted, so a lot of takers down onto pit road this time around. Let's jump it forward and ride on board with Riley Thompson as he works his way underneath the Corvette bridge once again. 13th time around this track. They've got 24 laps to make things happen. Riley Thompson runs himself in 6th. SimCity Esports, one of the competitors in the Winter Green Hell Series. You can catch that this weekend, round 2 on a Saturday at 2 p.m. UTC. 4 hours around the famed Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit with 4 classes of competition. They've got entries in SP9, which is GT3, as well as GT4 as well. SimCity Esports, a very global team indeed, as Adam Blocker, race leader, finally down onto the pit road. Let's see if anyone else decides to follow him down. Indeed, Christian Steele has followed him as well. His i5G teammate Demerit has come down as well. Joshua Chin, the next driver that we're expecting to come down pit road. And indeed, hashtag blame Randy. We always blame Randy at RaceSpot TV. Chin down onto the pit road safely. So, Lichtenberg, Thompson, Manzado, Wood, Piercy, Downing. Those are the rest of the cars coming down the pit road, and Adam Blocker gets up into his pit jack, already off the jacks now. 8.6 seconds stationary for him, and he'll get back out to the race lead. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, take a look at the track map as some of the cars stopped in pit lane finally get underway. Christian Steele with a slightly longer stop at 9.3 seconds. That will close the gap to some of the competitors around, but he had plenty of clean air coming into the pit cycle, and that's how it's going to come out of the pit cycle as well. There you can see a close battle between Thompson and Lichtenberg. Thompson going to be working the rear end, I believe, now of Lichtenberg for the next portion of the stint, as we have 10 laps of this race to go. Interesting to see that no one decided to go for a black-red strategy. We had a few cars with the red-black as Lichtenberg off the track has already lost out there in that position. Cold tires proving to be a little bit of an issue for the i5G driver. RaceSpot TV replay, and take a look at this one first from a TV angle. Is just getting a little bit deep into the corner, maybe just expecting those front tires to grip up slightly more. Lichtenberg and Steele have both had issues. We're going to jump back to live pictures for a few moments time and pick up a few other replays and see what's happened to the i5G duo. Steele still stationary as Demerit has just gone off the track as the carousel. So this is the first of the incidents that we're going to work our way through. There you can see Steele, who gets it a bit wrong on the entry in towards the carousel section of track. I believe Lichtenberg does a very similar thing in towards turn number 5. Indeed, that's what happens to his teammate Lichtenberg. We'll jump it forward once again to Steele and pick it up with Christopher Demerit, who's going to get it wrong on the exit of the carousel. 3 i5G drivers all having a few issues late in this, rather early in this portion of the stint. There you can see big wiggle through the carousel, and a good job to hang on to that car in the number 15. So Kinsella on his recovery drive has passed Josh Clogg in the number 21 car. Kinsella rides in 15th place after taking pole position. What can he do now in the closing stages of this race? 10 laps to go, and well, in the top 5 there really aren't many battles to speak of. We'll run you through the top 8 standings as they stand. Adam Blocker now has a 13-second advantage with Christopher Demerit 3 seconds behind his teammate Christian Steele. That is the top 3 as they run. Joshua Chin, the king of chins, hunts down Demerit in the number 2 car, but he's 23 seconds behind your race leader. Riley Thompson in the number 4 car. He's 30 seconds behind the race leader. He's in a bit of no man's land as things stand because Brendan Lichtenberg has fallen away, and in fact, Lichtenberg has dropped behind Christian Macrelli as well, who is now up into 6th position with the Hyperstar down in 7th. Joe Branch finds himself in 8th position in the Coca-Cola sponsored car. He's got a bit of clean air, and Andrew Marquez trying to chase him down from behind. So top 8 then as they run, and well, not too many battles to focus in on then at the front of your field, but there are some to look at further back. There's Joe Branch and Andrew Marquez as mentioned, but Andrew Kinsella tries to chase down John Downing and Tyler Dubois in front of him. John Downing has elected to go to those alternate tires, as has Brandon Traino further back on his own recovery drive, but Downing seems to already be struggling very slightly as Kinsella behind on those black tires apply some pressure. Downing, though, is going to get the move done on Dubois. Kinsella might try and follow him down the inside in towards Canada corner. The number 11, is he going to lose 2 in 1? And Kinsella looks to his inside, forces Dubois wide through the corner. Kinsella sneaks up the inside, gets the move done, up into 14th place. Another battle that's been going on for a little while is Andrew Wood trying to chase down Cesar Manzado in front of him. Manzado was challenging for an IndyCar iRacing Series championship earlier this year, but of course that went to Adam Crane in the end. Wood, who recently also had some success in real-world karting, is back into the IndyCar. We'll be hoping to talk to some of these drivers about their experience with this new tire model. We've maybe don't want to talk to the likes of Brandon Traino about their experience with the damage model, but it'll be interesting to gather the thoughts of some of the top drivers across the iRacing service and see what they think about the tire model, both on the roadside and the oval. Kinsella's now going to get the move done on braking in towards turn 5. Those red mark tires starting to go off for Downing behind, and Kinsella promotes himself up into 13th spot. Adam Blocker picking up right where he left off last season. Looking like a fairly dominant win once again for a driver who now works in the IndyCar paddock for one of the Chevrolet-based teams. We won't say too much more about that, but Blocker doing right what we expect him to do. He's won so many of these Indy Oval Championships, and nothing new here for the number 1 car. Something's happened to Josh Clogg in the fiercely forward machine. Ooh, just a little bit deep in towards turn 8, and that might be the end of the race. Indeed it is for Josh Clogg, who, with that new damage model, has lost that right front wheel and will have to reset to the safety of pit lane. So back to live pictures, and we'll pick up the battle for 8th and 9th on track and jump on board with Andrew Marquez in the number 17. We work our way in towards turn number 3, and Marquez might get on the button. He's still got 9 push-to-passes left, and that compares to 7 in front for Joe Branch, but nothing doing at this point in time. With just under 7 laps to go, it's going to be an interesting race to the end between these two, but not so interesting out front as things stand. You can follow along with the top 3 on the top left-hand portion of your screen. Blocker, Steele, and Demerit the top 3, and Steele and Demerit making it a Team i5G Broken Arrow 2 and 3. Lifting very slightly through the kink in turn number 7 and through the hurry downs into the braking of turn 8. You have to be a bit more careful on the curb on the inside, I've found now recently with the new damage model, but Marquez doing a good job so far to not let the dirty air in front of him affect him so much in the Wawa sponsored machine. Everyone knows here at RaceBot TV, except Dylan Coyle, that Wawa is not superior to Sheets, but we'll have that battle another day. Just another reminder, it's a busy week for RaceBot TV, despite the fact that we're coming to the end of a year, and 2021 will look to be just as busy for us, I'm sure. But we've got real sim racing action in just a few hours' time live on our YouTube channel. You can head over there and subscribe to get notified every time we go live. But we've also got the likes of 60 Plus Racing that happens on Wednesday. We kick off that season at Long Beach, but we've also got Friday Night Primetime, and I think that's going to have a lot of excitement this year with the Dallara Formula IR and the brand new Dallara IR01 that has graced the iRacing service. We've got a brand new World Championship car, and we have a challenge here from Andrew Marquez to the inside as Joe Branch cuts him off. Andrew Kinsella is up into 12th position now. He's managed to get past Alan Piercy, but that's not what the Canadian driver would have wanted after taking the pole position on those red marked tires. His pit penalty has dropped him out of the top 10. That new World Championship car should be very interesting, and like mentioned, will be available to watch on Friday Night Primetime throughout the next 12 weeks. We kick it off at the Suzuka circuit, and paint submissions are available at racebot.media. Friday as well, we've got I think it's the season finale of the VVLN series, and it's a busy weekend at the virtual Nordschleife as Winter Green Hell has round number 2 as mentioned on Saturday. Then on Sunday we've got the Porsche Esport Carrera Cup Denmark edition that will, for the final time, not be on TV, as all of the future rounds in 2021 will be shown live on Danish TV, so that will be something to keep an eye out on. Also on Sunday, later on in the day, it's the Porsche Sport 2 Hours of Daytona. You can tune in and watch along with Peter Mackay and Samuel Aurora as they walk you through the action. Joe Branch able to extend the gap very slightly. He used one of his push-to-passes, still has 6 remaining, and number 22 car doing a good job to run up there in the 8th position. Cesar Manzado has also closed behind them, you'll notice as well, in the number 3 car, and he's managed to drop Andrew Wood, and Wood now feels the pressure from behind as Andrew Kinsella closes in. Marquez once again to the inside. He has used the push-to-pass in response, but unable to get the move done. Branch once again has to go defensive now on the entry into turn 3, and this is allowing Manzado to close the gap very slightly. Manzado with a very, very good run through the corner, and he's now going to get the draft all the way down this back straightaway underneath the bridge, and Manzado sweeps to the inside of the corner. Manzado only has 2 push-to-passes left, it must be said, and he's going to get it done under braking, move himself up into the top 10, and drop Andrew Marquez down into 11th, as Andrew Kinsella has just managed to get past Andrew Wood in the background. So Kinsella's recovery drive up into 11th so far. John Downing has had an issue, and he might be the latest victim of the tire model here. Turn number 5, an issue where tire temperatures can sometimes spike and prove to challenge traction that much more, and indeed all by his lonesome. You would have to assume the same for Downing. A little bit too much speed, and back end comes around, and fortunately Tyler Dubois doesn't run into him. Pick up the battle once again here as Cesar Manzado now closes in on Joe Branch, but Andrew Kinsella wants to get in on the fun as well. There you can see a great shot on the entry into Canada corner. Brandon Treno, a couple of laps down, still out there on the track having fun with our new damage and tire model. Gap out front, by the way, up to 17.5 seconds, so Blocker doesn't have too much pressure and has started to spam the push-to-pass button. Now down to 4 remaining, he's having fun as he looks to try and get more fastest laps. Manzado closes on Branch then as we cross the start-finish line, and a little bit of ducking and weaving as Branch maybe tries to break the draft, and nothing doing as Kinsella also not able to close in enough, but he will continue to close down this back straight. He peeks his nose, just shows himself in the mirror into the Wawa liveried machine, and indeed applies a little bit of pressure, and Marquez gets it wrong, opens the door for Kinsella. Kinsella only has 3 push-to-passes left to use, but he's going to try and work around the outside of turn 5 as Manzado also looks to the outside of Joe Branch. Manzado gets the move done. Is Kinsella going to get it done as well? And yes, he does. Very easy on the entry into turn 5. To 2 position switching hands then as we broke down into turn 5, and therefore Cesar Manzado up into 8th position with Joe Branch in 9th, Andrew Kinsella in 10th, and Andrew Marquez in 11th. Gap out front now, 18 seconds. Adam Blocker continues to try and go faster and faster. The gap between the top two is 0.4 of a second the last time around, but at this point in time, it's looking more like Joshua Chin is trying to apply some pressure up there as he tries to get onto the third and final step of the podium. The King of Chins has been slowly trying to reel on in Christopher Demerit. Demerit, who had a bad run of form rather in the Open Wheels 500-mile race. He was on the outside of turn number 2 after a caution period and got unstuck with a little bit of drama, as it were. But Chin closes in, gap 1.3 seconds, and lap times looking very good for Chin, who is known to be a prodigious fuel saver. We'll see now if that extends to tires as well. Prodigious. There we go, I can say it correctly, potentially. Prodigious. It's not easy to say, but nevertheless, back to this battle as Andrew Marquez now tries to get to work on Joe Branch, because Joe Branch has been passed by Andrew Kinsella, and that's allowed the likes of Manzado and Kinsella to get clear as Branch makes a slight mistake. This is going to open the door to Andrew Wood as well. Marquez going to get through on what becomes the outside of turn number 5 as Joe Branch has a little bit of internet issues. Can Wood hold the outside line then on turn 5? Yes, he can. He'll use all of the curbing. He'll use a little bit of the gravel as well. And Branch able to get the momentum off the corner. That will hurt very slightly because Brandon Traino might be wanting to get one of his laps back on some of these contenders and make his way through. Chin has managed to close, by the way, as has Kinsella. Kinsella right on the back of Cesar Manzado, and we jump onto the nose cam as Kinsella exits the carousel section, heads up in towards the kink. That's turn 11, the kink on the run now down to Canada corner. Kinsella gets the run, no push to pass being used. He's going to get to the inside of the corner. The Canadian makes the move look very, very easy. Doesn't overshoot the quarter as well, and he'll get the move done with just a couple of laps to go. Andrew Wood now applies the pressure to Joe Branch as Andrew Marquez has managed to clear Branch behind. We keep our eye out, by the way, on third position as well. Wood getting very loose on the exit of the corner. That's going to compromise his challenge for the 11th position. So we'll turn our attention over to Joshua Chin and Christopher Demerit, who make their way through turn number 5. Take a look on the rearward shot for Christopher Demerit, because he's got a mirror full of the King of Chins himself. Andrew Wood, by the way, off the track has lost out slightly. That will compromise his battle. It won't just compromise his battle, it will end his race. Woodith is done. Race Spot TV replay as we go through turn 1 and just pushing the limits, and the new damage model takes no prisoners. Those front wheels are done, and nothing Woodith could do to avoid that one once he ended up on the grass. Take a look at this wonderful aerial coverage brought to us by ATVO, graphics partners of Race Spot TV. Just 2 tires onto the grass, 4 tires onto the grass, and Traino lucky not to get collected. So, drama then for Andrew Wood, who's now down the order and falls to 16th place. Breaks up one of the nice battle packs that we were looking at as well. So let's take a look at another of our Race Spot TV replays. John Downing by himself on the entry in towards turn 5. You don't get a good look there, but we get a better look here on those red marked tires. Just losing grip late in the race with just a couple of laps to go, and fortunately for Downing, pointing in the right direction. So, 2 laps to go then. Adam Blocker has just over 8 miles to complete, but for Joshua Chin, 8 miles to get up onto the podium. Christopher Demerit has an opportunity to hold off here, but he's going to give up that opportunity, stepping the rear end out and giving that third and final podium place up to Joshua Chin. We'll take a look at that Race Spot TV replay as well, because Demerit just made it a little bit too easy there. He got it a bit wrong on the exit of the corner, and indeed that compromised the exit. And we'll take a look at it once again with a onboard look for the number 15 car on the push to pass, maybe just carrying a bit too much entry speed into the corner. Trying to brake a little bit late as well, and we'll see here. all gets wrong with a big stab of throttle, able to gather that up very nicely though, but white flag does fly as Adam Blocker comes across the line to start the final of the 24 laps here at the Road America circuit. For the Powerslide Motorsports driver, what can you really say? It's usually domination here in the IndyCar Open Series for Blocker. Powerslide Motorsports has won so many of these championships over the years, and Blocker has gone back to back to back more times than I care to remember. Might be one of his last championships that he can try and compete for as well, because as everything gets back to normality in 2021, we turn the page over into a brand new year. Blocker and his responsibilities trackside in the IndyCar paddock might find it a bit more difficult to make some of these races. So for Blocker, one more opportunity to take a championship, maybe sign off in style as he pursues bigger and better things in the real world. He's going to work his way through the carousel then for the final time before he'll take a win here. Not the greatest qualifying performance either. He was beaten by the likes of Christian Steele and I think Christopher Demerit as well, starting back in 5th, but for Blocker in the number 1 car, never too much panic, and he was able to make his way up into 1st. Through Canada corner then, couple more corners to go. For Adam Blocker, it's been a fun week testing all of the changes here. I was taking a look at my VRS data just a few moments ago, and Adam Blocker already in excess of 11 hours at this track, but across the line he comes then over the hill and takes the win in the opening round of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship and picks up right where he left off. We wait. It's going to be a long wait as well now for the rest of our competitors, but we wait for them to cross the line as Christian Steele is about to poke his nose over the hill and take home a well-deserved 2nd position. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can follow along as all of our competitors join the likes of Adam Blocker and Christian Steele in the pit lane then, but Blocker going to be celebrating as Joshua Chin, Christopher Demerit across the line in 3rd and 4th. Couple more cars we're still waiting for. Andrew Kinsella has managed to get onto the back of Christian Marquez as well, but it's going to be a little bit too little, too late for the Canadian on the recovery drive. He manages to get himself up into 8th position, but all the way to the line. It's very, very close, but not close enough as Kinsella slots home in 8th. Excuse me, I was just trying to wrangle in our podium position winners. Adam Blocker out there on track, getting ready to do some donuts, but let's see if we can get Christian Steele and Joshua Chin in for a post-race recap. So, all the cars then across the line. Let's check in with race winner Adam Blocker as he's going to round Canada corner and head towards the start-finish line to celebrate. So like mentioned, it's been so many championships for Adam Blocker, and Blocker still chases that elusive broadcast Indy 500 win. He came very, very close, it must be said, at the Open Wheels 500, but coming up short to his own teammate. Never be, it could be worse than that. Hugo Olsen taking home the first broadcast win for the Powerslide crew as Blocker does some very, very well executed donuts. And I'm sure, actually, as I'm thinking about it now, the entire prospect of donuts post-races now with the new damage model is going to change. So let's see how some of our less experienced winners later on in future races deal with that challenge. But race results then coming your way, and after 24 laps, it was Adam Blocker who won all 4 of the championships last year, who picks up right where he left off with a 22-second victory from the Team i5G driver, Christian Steele. Joshua Chin for Team Chimera in 3rd place, 33 seconds back, with Christopher Demerit dropping to 4th with a late race mistake into turn number 5. Riley Thompson ends up in 5th place, almost 50 seconds back, with Brendan Lichtenberg in 6th. Christian Macarelli ends up 7th, over 60 seconds behind the race leader. Andrew Kinsella drops to 8th after a very impressive pole position on red tires. Cesar Menzado comes home in 9th, Andrew Marquez in 10th, Alan Piercy in 11th, Tyler Dubois in 12th, with John Downing, Joe Branch, the only other cars on the lead lap. Adam Crane in 15th after missing the start of the race, recovers to get back up into 15th spot. Brandon Treno in 16th after early drama and losing one of his wheels. Andrew Wood in 17th with fiercely forwards Josh Clogg in 18th place. Roboon Glennox ends up in 19th with Austin Espety in 20th. Phil de Wallen ends up then in 21st place with Christian Zielke in 22nd, and that was our entire grid. 22 cars across, I think, 4 splits of competition, so a very good opening round here in IndyCar competition. So we wait for maybe Adam Blocker to step on in and talk to us about the race that just unfolded, but let's take the time to discuss the race with someone else who had a fairly impressive run there, Joshua Chin in the Team Talent Team Chimera car. We'll get the King of Chins himself into the booth as I get my hands free. And Josh Chin then, 3rd step on the podium, and you had a little bit of an issue there in qualifying. We caught one of your spins on the red tires, so you were trying something different on strategy, but it ended up being a drive through the field there, Josh, and a good drive to get up to that last step of the podium. So talk to us about that race.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the strategy I was originally going to go with. I wanted to just kind of hang on the first stint on reds up there, and botched both qualifying laps. So started dead last and just kind of drove up through the field, avoided a lot of the incidents. Got lucky that a few guys went off, and then the second half of the race was just kind of holding on, trying to catch Demerit, and caught up to him. I was at a push-to-pass disadvantage, and just got lucky that he made the mistake he did. I don't think I was going to get around him without it, but I opened the window, and I'll take a podium after starting 22nd.
Talk to us about the changes to this car, and you are a dock maker for Craig's Setup Shop as well, so I'm sure you've been spending a lot of time, investigating what has changed in this car, and I think this addition of the tire compounds as well is just making that strategy that much more interesting. Did you develop your setup more for the primary tire, and how did you find that difference in terms of the wear affecting your strategy for this race?
Yeah, I was definitely more focused on the primaries for the race setup. It was kind of an interesting balance between the two, because going to the alternates, it seemed like the car pushed up a little bit more of a push, especially on the entry. And I was going to, be ready for that on the first stint. Ultimately, I didn't have to be ready for it because I wasn't on those tires starting at the back. But it definitely seems like a lot of the road course stuff from previous seasons still applies, especially ride height and spring philosophies. But it seems like the aero window's been opened up a little bit more. It looked like the guys from Power Slide were running less swing than most of us were. They were rockets in a straight line, and then we were kind of in the middle of them in I5G, and I5G was the most loaded on downforce, and it was interesting to see different downforce options kind of open up, but I think a lower downforce may be the way to go for here.
I will neither confirm nor deny any rumors of downforce configurations. One more question before I let you go. Let's talk about the other Dallara car that got released in the most recent iRacing update, the Dallara IR01. I know you'll be making the setups there for Craig's Setup Shop and the brand new World Championship car. It's a very different type of machine, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how it races at the top level, and we've got a few months to get there, and the great thing is the iRacing staff can make tweaks along the way, and they try and develop the type of racing package they want.
Yeah, it's a very interesting and different car. People talk about the IR18 being very floor heavy for downforce, but I mean, this car, all the downforce is from the floor and that's it. You don't really have any topside aero to speak of. So it's a learning process. It's also a monospring car as opposed to having corner springs and a third spring like this car. So the setup options are pretty limited, and a lot of it's just driver, especially tire wear is based off heat and tire curing as opposed to tire wear. So you can kind of do less with your inputs and get less heat out of the car and kind of have less fall off. So it'll be interesting. I definitely think it's more of a driver's car. Week one has been difficult for me so far, getting adjusted to it. I don't think the speed's quite there for me, but hopefully in the weeks going forward and with the rear toe being addressed this week, that'll help me out a little bit.
Well, Josh, before we let you go, anyone you want to thank for that third place result? It was a good drive through the field, and I'm sure there was some help on the team side of things.
Yeah, I gotta thank everyone at Team Talent, especially Brophy, for kind of crewing me through that last half of the race. It helped a lot with just getting lap times and the push-to-pass info as things were going on. And everyone that ran the race, it was a great turnout, lots of splits. And thank you guys for broadcasting.
Well, Josh, we'll see you next time out then, and good luck at the first oval race of the season, and enjoy this third-place finish.
Thank you.
So that was Joshua Chin, the King of Chins himself, and we finally have the rest of the podium standing by, and let's make our way over to the top step, and Adam Blocker picks up right where he left off. Adam, it's a new season and lots of new changes to the car, but seem to go pretty much the same way for you. You did have the additional challenge of your teammate Andrew Kinsella on the red tires, but once you got past him, it was pretty smooth sailing for you there.
Definitely wasn't a normal race because qualified 5th. And I think we need to work on our qualifying setup a little bit or something because we definitely missed something there. But yeah, once got past Demerit into turn 1 and kind of was only trying to pass Steele into turn 3, but kind of accidentally passed Brandon as well. He kind of braked early. So yeah, then it was a matter of I knew Andrew was going to have pace for a few laps, and he fell off, and he did, and just kind of passed him and focused on not making any mistakes from there on.
Talk to us a little bit about your experiences with these changes, because it's a big change, and it was one that was a long time coming. Both the damage model and the tire model, and they work hand in hand in so many ways, and I think next time out going to a Nova will be a very interesting thing. There's a lot of rumors circulating about how that's going to race out, but I think here on the road side of things, addition of the tire compounds adds some strategy. There's a bit more setup variation because of these tires as well, and the damage model makes it that much more tricky. So I think the future of the IndyCar in iRacing is looking very promising as things stand.
Yeah, personally I think the damage model implementation is pretty excellent. Like, I haven't found that many issues with it. It's definitely a big step up above what we had before. The tires still definitely have some issues, but I think once they make a couple tweaks, we'll be in a really good spot. I think the reds and black tires add a lot of strategy because different tracks, different tires will have an advantage, and then also in different conditions. I think if this race was hotter, I don't think anyone would have even tried the reds. So also just how the tires wear, I was making a lot more in-car adjustments than I have previously, like changing brake bias throughout the stint, changing anti-roll bars. Yeah, so lots of adjustments and just a kind of a different approach in general. So yeah.
And as we head to the oval next time out, I'm sure you've done some limited testing. Just give us a general overview of what you've noticed when it comes to this new package in terms of the racing. I think it's fair to say the most recent package that we had for the iRacing Indy 500 wasn't necessarily the best package for the drivers, but I have a feeling this is tending to be a package that's going to produce more races that will allow the driver to come straight to the forefront.
I think the main thing I've noticed so far is that the car seems to be less temperature dependent on ovals, which is good. So that means that, like previously, if we were, say, below 105 track temp, it'd be a pack race, and above 125, it might just be single file. I think now that temperature range where there's going to be good racing might double. So that's only good for us. And then I think some tracks are going to be tricky, at least before they make some tweaks, but Michigan in particular, I think will race pretty well, and actually pretty similar to how it's raced in the past. If anything, just the only change being you can't really hug the inside even at cold track temperatures. So I honestly think Michigan's gonna race pretty well. I don't know about some of the other ovals. I haven't really done a lot of testing on those, but yeah, I'll figure that out soon enough.
Well, before we let you go then, Adam, to talk with the rest of your team, anyone you want to thank for that race win?
I just want to thank everybody at Powerslide putting work into the setups. We've definitely all been all hands on deck the last week, and yeah, definitely good to know we at least have something good for the race at Road America. But yeah, definitely still some work to do. But yeah, just want to say good race to the I5G guys. They definitely had some solid speed. So
Yeah, and it's good to see a lot of those drivers back into official open competition as well. So hopefully that trend continues. Adam, congratulations, and we'll see you next time out.
yep, see ya.
So that was Adam Blocker, then race winner, and continuing on right where he left off at the end of last season. And let's move it on then to our final interview and second step on the podium for Christian Steele of the team i5G. And Christian, it's good to see you back into iRacing competitions, and well, not necessarily the race that you would have wanted, with a lot of periods of that race being on your own, but nevertheless a good return to get up to second and almost some good fights there.
Yeah, that was a pretty standard race for me. I had pretty much nobody to race there, but I had a pretty mistake-ridden race, and I'm glad I was able to shake the rust off in a race that was pretty inconsequential. I definitely had issues with the tires during that race, and it was awesome to try out the new car and get the new tires and learn a lot through racing. And it was awesome to see all the competition come out. It was a really good race.
Talk to us about your experiences with the changes to the car, because it's a big overhaul, and we were talking a little bit. It's something I think you're excited about, both on the road side, but also on the oval as well.
Yeah, the oval courses as well have been revamped, and it's made the racing a lot more akin to my style of racing. It's got a lot more aero push, and it requires a lot more tact and skill, in my opinion. So I'm really excited to test that out. And then, of course, everything has been kind of thrown out the window. So now you're going to see pretty much everyone starting from scratch in terms of building the setups. So there's going to be a lot of fun and friendly competition among the teams again. Whereas last year, it felt like kind of a fixed qualifying session at times for the most part. Just a few teams, running pretty much the same sort of setup values. And I think this will allow for a lot more creativity to come alive and should make for a better on-track product as well.
One final question for you, Christian. You've been busy on the community side of things as well. You've taken over the mantle of the weekly threads. You've started doing track guides as well, stealing my job, what I used to do, but I think it's what the car needs right now. I think this update is going to hopefully reinvigorate the community around this car and bring in another influx of drivers, because once again it feels very good, and there's a brand new Dallara out there for more serious competition. But I think for a lot of people that's not going to be a very approachable car, and while this is going to be difficult to master for so many competitors, I think it's hopefully a place where a lot of those drivers will come to test this car out and find themselves a new home.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few things that has kept people away from the IndyCar, and two things I can say is the history of the community being kind of toxic, and then obviously the car being hard to drive and hard to set up. And I think we are completely on the right path. I think the community's gone a really long way and has been really healthy and growing, and I think a lot of that energy has been channeled into helping new guys out. And I think it's there's no better time to really come out and get interested in this car and start racing. No better time than I've ever been on this service, and I think that's been reflected by the participation tonight with, I think, 4 splits. So good stuff, and I'm sure this will continue on. And our goal is to retain as many people as possible, so setups and track guides and overall just being a welcoming community, and we'll keep a lot of people around, I believe.
Well, before we let you go then, Christian, who do you want to thank for the team? Good drive here, and it was good to see a large majority of your teammates jumping back into official competition once again.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Zach and Trano, in particular, everyone at Team i5G for stepping up and helping out on the setup, because it was quite a daunting task, and we found a lot of things that I think are going to be helpful down the line. And special thanks to Michele and AJ for being there, calling out lap times, calling out strategy, stuff like that. It really helped me in my race because I knew, at the start of the race, I had the opportunity to push really hard, and I think Kinsella saw that when I was pushing, and Kinsella made his mistake. And I wonder if I wasn't gaining as much as I was, I might have not forced that error on him. So just everyone at the back of the team, thanks for all the support.
And tell maybe some of them to show up next time to actually race. It would be good to get the likes of Michele and AJ out on track, but we'll see you next time then, Christian, at Michigan.
Yep, thank you for broadcasting, and I'll be there. Should be a good one.
So that was Christian Steele, driver for Broken Arrow, Team i5G, and the Apex Racing team. So we're almost done with round number 1 coverage here live on RaceSpot TV of the IndyCar Open Championship live on iRacing. Round number 1, 24 laps at Road America are in the books, and, well, Adam Blocker takes home another race win. And who can dethrone Blocker, and indeed who can dethrone Powerslide Motorsports? I'm not just saying that as a member of the outfit, but indeed so many championships won by that team, and now that they've won their first broadcasted 500, looking pretty good for the outfit as they try and extend what is a fairly impressive run of championships since 2018. That third season of the year was the first season that Adam Blocker won in the new car, the Dallara IR18, and since then, it's either been Henry Bennett, or Adam Blocker taking home championship titles. So that was a fun 24-lap race, and the new changes to the Dallara IR18 already proving to be very, very interesting, and be interesting next time out on the oval to see how they do. But for round 1 of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship from Elkhart Lake, it's about time to say goodbye. Thank you for joining myself, Arjuna Kankipati, where I've had TV cameras from Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com to use, and Tyler Maxson providing additional car cameras. Thank you to Timing71 for live timing and scoring. You can follow along with the best of sim racing and the real racing all on Timing71, along with some excellent analysis tools. So that was the first race of the season, and indeed the first race of a new build. Enjoy the rest of your week. It's a Monday and lots more racing available here at Road America, but a championship has kicked off, and a championship Adam Blocker looks to retain. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to RaceSpot TV.